How many of you know the name Linda Goff or Sarah Marsland? I bet you will have heard of their murderers though, Fred West and Harold Shipman. Hi everybody, this is Steve, the host of True Crime Fix, the podcast which gives the story whilst giving the victim the loudest voice of them all. So far we've covered cases such as Coletta Ram, Kitty Genovese, Jackie Paul, JC Sawyer and Molly McLaren. I'll be releasing new episodes every other Friday via Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify and all other available stations. So please come over and subscribe and give my podcast a listen. I really hope that you find these episodes informative. If you would like further information, please follow me on Twitter at True Crime Fix Pod or find me on Facebook, True Crime Fix Podcast. And remember, stay safe, look after each other and live life to the fullest because you never know who or what might be coming around the next corner. Take care, everyone.
In case you can't tell by the name, Yikes Murder and Stuff contains themes that are not suited for children. It's also no good for the workplace and probably not your Meemaw and your Papa either. We're going to talk about some grim subject matter, probably make uncomfortable jokes, and we're definitely going to be cursing. But if that's something you're into, then put your headphones on and hop in our nondescript windowless van and come see the puppies. I want everybody to acknowledge that I have pressed record because
we are 10 seconds into recording.
We're burning daylight, people.
Ahoy, mateys! It's Jennifer Sandwich.
I'm the Booty Mills Bells.
I'm Acadia Einstein, and I'm not going to do a pirate thing.
God damn it!
Jesus.
It's a empire. I'm selling corn. It's only a buccaneer.
Yay! Oh, and you have come back again to another episode of Yikes Murder and Stuff, and we thank you for that because today's episode is going to be about a maritime tragedy. It's a perfect storm, but not a perfect storm of three storms coming together and George Clooney drowning. No, this is a perfect storm of ineptitude. This is a story about a shipwreck of the Medusa frigate. Now, you might have heard about the painting called The Raft of the Medusa that is in the Louvre. We're not going to talk about that, though. We're going to talk about what happened.
I want to talk about it, though.
You're going to talk about it? Okay.
Because it's hella big. Like, it's
huge.
It's like 16 feet high. It's like, just picture that the painting is 16 feet high by, say, 24 feet wide.
It's massive.
Just remember those dimensions because they're going to come up later.
Yeah.
And the pop quiz portion.
Right. Get your thinking caps on, folks. This is going to be a doozy. The muse of this painting was a delightful story of death and mayhem on the open seas. We'll tell you about the time that this happened. The time frame around this is about the early 1800s. Napoleon had been defeated. King Louis the 18th had taken power after the French Revolution and some other Napoleon shit that went down, 100 Days War and things like that. He had made a compromise and said, you know what? I'm not going to prosecute you if you were with Napoleon with this 100 days thing, unless you're an instigator and just come back. We're all French. Let's just be friends. I'll give you some rights and freedoms or whatever. And basically said that here's a constitution for public debt, freedom of press and religion, and equality before the law in order to kind of please the populace. So it's post-Napoleon and the monarchy's back. And a lot of people are kind of hanging out going, I still like Napoleon. And a lot of people are going, I am so glad the king's back. That's kind of the time that's going on when this situation's taking place. And it's kind of like now, like how Democrats and Republicans are kind of at each other's throats, where it's like, I hate everything you like. Oh, me too, except opposite. That's kind of sort of the attitude of the people. The monarchy is back in action in France.
Monarchy.
And what they're going to do... What monarchy? I was thinking the Venture Brothers and the
monarch.
What was his name? The Monarch?
Got your girlfriend.
Yeah. Dr. Girlfriend. They're going to send 4 ships to the west coast of Africa, and they're going to say, hey, England, you've taken this from us during the whole Napoleon debacle. You said you're going to give that back to us. It's cool. We're going to send 4 ships. We're going to come take it back and recolonize it. Thank you very much for taking care of it. Monarchy's back, baby. We're going to recolonize Senegal
yes,
again.
Because Senegal had been kicked back and forth and passed around like a joint between France and England a bunch of times. And all they were doing there was just stealing people and then selling them as slaves to other people. And then when Britain had it, they were like, hey, we don't like the name Senegal because there's this other place near it called Gambia. So they just made up some fucked up name like Senegambia, or like it would be just really dumb. Like if your name was Melswich, like it doesn't, it was stupid. So then when they were like,
I was looking at maps that have like different names for that area.
Because they were smushing them together, then they were splitting them up. So then when they decided to give it, they were like, yeah, France, whatever, you can have it. And they were like, yeah, and you can have Gambia too. And France was like, nah, we're just going to keep Senegal. And then Gambia just, and the people in Gambia were like, yay.
So they were like, hard pass on Gambia. Thank you.
Yeah, they were fine with that. Sounds fun. So there are 4 ships. And this is 1816. So they're going to leave France. They're going from the Isle of Aix. I don't know how to say that. It's AIX, the Isle of Aix.
So Southern Voice would say this is the Isle of Aix.
There you go, the Isle of Aix.
I'll send you both to the Isle of Aix if you don't keep it moving.
Okay, so the nice. So in 1816, in the summertime, 4 ships are going: the Echo, the Argus, and the Loire, or the Loire, Loire.
Yeah, they were the ones that were saddest in the fleet because their names sucked.
Right. Yeah, the Medusa's awesome. Well, the Echo's pretty cool too.
It was like the Nina, the Pinta, and Turd Vision. What do we have to write on Turd Vision?
I'm sure the fare to get on Turd Vision was very reasonable.
So the Medusa is the old warship. So it's kind of a flagship warship of France, and it had been converted to a passenger ship. So it's really big and heavy and bulky, but it was pretty fast. It was equipped with 14 cannons, but they weren't set up properly, but they were taking them to Senegal anyway, so...
They were aimed at the deck.
Yeah.
How does this go, Francois?
They had to make room for people, so they just kind of shoved the cannons off into the corner.
Just shoot them straight up in the air so the cannonball just comes right back down and lands in it. Look how much we're saving on cannonballs.
They just keep coming back to us.
They're heading to West Africa. So if you look at, like, there's France, and then there's Spain, and then there's a little bit of ocean there, and then West Africa's kind of right there. It's not a huge distance to travel, but there are lots of obstacles on the way. The king he was offering colonists, like, land to grow cotton and cocoa and sugarcane and all kinds of stuff. He just wanted to get away from slavery. Mind you, it's still big stuff, big slaving going on at this time, but the king is trying to get away from it as much as possible, apparently.
Air quotes on that, air quotes.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, technically, if you're the king, all the people are your slaves.
Right? Yeah, it's a monarchy, right?
Well, yeah, you do own everybody,
right.
Technically.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, okay, you can have a freedom of religion, I guess, So, I mean, he gave them regular human freedom. The reason I mention this is because ordinary people were like, sure, I'll go to Senegal. Yeah, give me some land out there. Yeah, I'll fucking colonize it. Sounds like it's a nice place. It's got some sun and it's near the equator. Sounds pretty cool. That's like a, nice warm area. So people volunteer to go out there and do regular work job stuff. Let me see if I pronounce this right.
Yep.
The Senegalese.
There you go.
coast.
That's really
Nice.
good because I
Ooh,
was looking
thank
at
you.
that, and I'm going to tell you, this is familiar to a word. Bolognese, I believe is how you pronounce it correctly, the
Bologna?
pasta. But
The
for a long
cannoli?
time, I said that's bolognese. Okay,
I love it.
and I was
Actually, I might
corrected.
pronounce it.
Yeah, I was corrected at the Olive Garden.
Oh
So
my god.
Oh no,
That's
that's the worst play to
that's
have
when
your
you-
Italian corrected.
listen, that's when you know you've
You
hit
know,
rock bottom. When the
The,
Olive Garden
the
waiter
shitty part
corrects
about
you.
that was the
Oh, I
one
could
thing
go
you
lower.
didn't know was the one thing he knew. And
Well, exactly.
oh, that's awful.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Like some 16-year-old kid's like,
Like the
yeah.
time they said
Pretty
to me,
much. He looked.
unlimited breadsticks
Yeah,
is
he
not literal, sir.
Like, fight me.
Die mad, waiter
Make
boy.
me
Bring me
leave.
more.
Right?
And get us. I wanted that bolognese stamp.
That's right.
So the coast is treacherous on this west side of northern Africa there. It's number one, it's at the time, it's badly charted.
Mhm.
It's so vague, it's ambiguous. There's no way you can describe it except for that it's kind of like the charts say, hey, you might want to stay away from this general area. And that's pretty much all you had. There's strong currents off of that side of the continent. And when you get to the, I think it's Aguin, Aguin, area of the coast there, there's really an ill-defined hazardous like sandbar.
Mm.
And there's also, at the time, there were a lot of reefs there too. So you had like sand dunes underneath the water that stretched out 100 miles from the shore. And when you got to the shore, it's a fucking desert. There's a nautical description written by someone at the time that said, France has minimal knowledge of the West African coast, and what they did have was just hearsay and not serious study. So basically just people going, oh yeah, I was there, saw a couple shipwrecks.
Better watch out.
The end.
And who knows if they were actually really there?
Oh my God.
You know.
Oh, well, yeah, well, that's apparently everybody thinks they're an expert.
Yeah.
Who was on the ship? Like we had said, there was, these are ordinary, regular people. They're bringing supplies to Senegal because they're restocking it with stuff and people in a whole community. They're colonizing the place. That's what colonizers do. They come in and they take over everything and they bring their people there. And they have personnel coming, civilians, hired defense people like soldiers, mercenary to kind of like a little army they're bringing, and sailors on the ships to get people there. They have engineers. They have all kinds of stuff. Mel, you want to tell us what kind of people were on the Medusa?
Yeah. So it was around 400 people. Included in that were military leadership, storekeepers, and clerks. I think there were some scouts, teachers.
Boy Scouts?
Eagle.
Well, Boy Scouts,
Sorry.
Cub Scouts, Eagle Scouts. There was just brownies, scout brownies. I don't know. There was teachers. There were writers, so notaries and scribes. Hospital leadership, which you got to have that, of course. Pilots, I'm assuming airline pilots or pilots that would.
Well, what is this? Does anybody know what that means? What are pilots in early
ships.
1800s?
Well,
France. What does that
Pilot
mean?
did-
Oh, so but those
no,
are
the
captains.
captain. No, the captain is the captain.
right?
The pilot steers it.
Oh.
So the captain goes, go this way, and the pilot's like,
So you know, in
"Alrighty."
some boats, they have that little house where the wheel is. You know, like it's a boat, and then you're like
The
Popeye,
wheelhouse?
the fucking
Oh,
Popeye's
you're talking
boat
about the
had it.
wheelhouse?
Yeah, the
It's a
little house.
wheelhouse.
That's the pilot house.
Yeah.
That's the pilot house.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Sweet.
See, I'm going to go ahead and let you know when it comes to ships and ocean type things, I get a lot of my knowledge from Titanic. So that doesn't help a lot
That's
when
good.
it comes
That's
to pilots.
good. Remind me to put you in charge of my fucking boat.
Watch the first half of Titanic with the last half
Well,
of A Perfect Storm. And I just
exactly.
figured I pretty much got it all for both movies.
That's
so
right. That's all the
cool.
research I needed for that. So,
Yeah.
So pilots, port captains. We've got surgeons, doctors, and apothecaries, which we all know are pharmacists, basically.
Isn't that a fun word? I love that
I
word.
do. I love it. And, well, it's because I love Shakespeare, and I always think about the apothecary that they got the poison from. Anyway, back onto
so nice.
track here. They had gardeners and farmers, naturalists and agriculturists. They had 21 women, so there wasn't a lot said about the women's roles, but 99%.
They never are.
Yeah, 99% sure they were sex workers. I don't know if this is appropriate, but wenches, perhaps. 8 children,
Maybe.
so not including young sailors, we would consider children today. So 4 bakers, engineers for mines and geography.
I think you said
type
mimes.
things.
Stop bringing mimes on the boat.
Well, they had some.
They're
Sneaking up
engineer
on me.
mimes. It's different.
They're geographical minds, and we all need them. Okay.
It just
Who
depends
else-
on what country
Who
you're in.
else is going to point out
Yeah.
if there's something over on the other side of the ship for you to look for? Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
this guy-
How are
yeah,
you going
just
to
a
know
guy
where the
like-
invisible boxes are?
Exactly.
And also,
Yeah.
they're French.
They're so they're definitely
I'm
mimes.
sick of having
Yeah.
a mime
Okay.
for a lookout. All he does is he just puts his hand over his eyes and looks around.
That would be mime talk for don't hit what's directly in front of you. I'm moving my hand across my
Yeah.
eyes, but I'm covering one. Okay, so workmen, sailors, deckhands, cooks, kind of the normal crew you would have for a ship, I would think.
Yeah.
These are the people that sign the back of the check. They're like the proletariat, the working stiffs.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Let's see, many soldiers. So African battalion of 3 companies of 84 men and artillerymen. That's impressive. Commissary, inspector, chief of administration. So I'm assuming that's the person that was handing out your snacks and things. Commissary. I only know commissary from prison. So
Like
Don't ask me how I know
from the
that.
military. So that's like I'm going to ask you later, actually.
okay.
I want to know. But wait, we had the commissary in the military, which is kind of like prison.
Well, yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
it's kind of
in a
your,
way.
all right. It's like a dispensary, right? I mean, that's where you have all your
Yeah, it's like-
supplies and you go in there.
We
and-
bought groceries
Exactly.
and, like weird off-brand
Yes.
T-shirts and stuff. Yeah.
Yes. All of that nice goulash of people. They made up about 400 people on this voyage. So,
And actually, that was just on the ship Medusa.
Right.
This was just on the frigate Medusa. That there were other people on the other ships, actually. This was just chock full of humans. And they were
well, forgive me. I don't know if I know what a frigate is.
The frigate is a kind of ship that carries people but also has guns on it.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
See, frigate in my part of the world is what you would say if you don't want to say the F word in front of your grandma.
Yeah, everybody knows. Everyone does that. It's like if you just
So as soon as
if you try to do something 4 times and you
Yeah.
can't do it, you just go frigate. I'm not doing it.
Yes, exactly. See, so when Sandwich said that, I was like, "Oh, well, frigate." Well, I do think you can cuss on this show if you'd like. But
I think that's probably a given at this point. So well, so the king said, well, Napoleon's gone now, so everybody who served under him, you're out. Everybody who served the monarchy before Napoleon, come on back. All the senior ranks of basically the Navy and the Army went to, like, I don't know, the aristocrats or like the noblemen or whatever, or whoever was loyal to the monarchy before and during Napoleon.
Napoleon. I'm sorry, I just had to.
Right,
Just had
right.
to
I
say it
love
like
it.
that. Napoleon.
Yes. So some had spent time in like English prisons. They had lived in exile rather than in France and served Napoleon. Some hadn't seen a ship in like 20 years. I'm going to tell you about some of these people who hadn't seen a ship in 20 years. And one of them, his name is Viscount. Anybody want to, who's my Frenchie here? Who wants to pronounce this?
What do you
Yes.
want to
I
know?
want pronounce this name. This guy right here.
Oh, she's holding up a photograph of him. Viscount Hughes de Roy de Chameray.
Yes.
I love it.
Who I believe for the rest of the time we shall call a Captain Douchebag.
I was gonna call him Captain the Chamois, but ShamWow guy is actually cooler than this guy, it turns out. And the ShamWow guy like beat up a woman.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know if we want to dish ShamWow like that, even though he's got a bad rap himself.
This guy, he basically just knew the right people, and he was, loyal to the monarchy. But of course he was, because he was, a nobleman, and he was a richie, and he had no knowledge, or his knowledge was outdated. He hadn't been on a ship in over 20 years, and he'd never captained a ship. So he brings his mistress with him and a shit ton of good wine.
Well, you can't make a voyage without those two things. So
this was like the best decision that he made. This
was the wine.
I'm bringing 16 tons of wine and this beautiful woman.
Now, unless he bought Boone's Farm, then people might not be very appreciative of that wine. But
it's French wine, so it's from the 1800s. It's got to be good, right?
Yeah, no box shit for these people.
In like every book that I read, everything I read about this guy, they were saying that he was kind of lighthearted and kind of indifferent to any kind of danger or whatever. And he didn't really take this journey seriously. So he's basically like, hey, sailors, what's up? I'm your cool captain. So he kind of comes in and he's just like, hey, fellow kids, hey, fellow sailors, it's me, man. Let's be friends.
Hello, fellow youths.
Yes. Well, he comes on the ship and he's just like, hey, I'm cool captain. Who are you? Hey, I'm a guy who served during Napoleon. He was like, oh, don't like you. And anybody that he found out that was not an exile like him or didn't support the monarchy at any time, because remember, the king basically said, everybody come back to France. We're all French people. No one's going to be prosecuted. People who supported Napoleon were still able to live their life and have jobs and do things. And a lot of these people were on this ship. And this guy was not one of those people. He was loyal to the monarchy the whole time because he had it good with the monarchy.
So basically, the king is trying to unite everyone, but this guy's like not wanting to give a second nod to the people that were with Napoleon. He's kind of like a purist, maybe. He only wants those people that, were always supportive of the monarchy, I suppose, right?
Oh, wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me that he was a leader who valued loyalty to him personally over any type of qualification for the job he was giving them?
And you know what? He wasn't very confident. I mean, there's a better way to say this, but he tended to be kind of easily manipulated, but he was stubborn towards other more experienced crew that didn't necessarily see things his way.
I'll tell you what, you fat cats. I'm going to leave my shoes untied.
Yeah, it's basically like if somebody.
So it's patronage. It's the same thing that's happened all through politics.
Yes.
Forever. It's like,
really
hey, my buddy's president. Now I get to be ambassador to fucking,
right.
I don't know, Senegal or some shit like that. Or like a less important country.
Right.
You have these people who come in there that are like, oh, I'm back in power now, you plebes. Fuck all you guys. Are you right? Don't care. Fuck you. I'm just whatever it takes to own the Napoleon supporters.
Napoleon.
Yes. So we got this guy in charge of the show. This guy's in charge of everything. He's just, it's ridiculous how inexperienced he is and how large his head is and how malleable his mind is.
I was going to ask, it's a big head, small hands, maybe?
Probably.
Small hands. The picture I have of this man also has got very thinning hair. For some reason.
Yes. Yeah. Probably.
Well, it can't be me then because my hair is luxurious as fuck.
Okay. Well, the next guy, his name is, and it's never, I don't see a first name on this guy, but they call him M. Ricafort or Richafort. I'm going to call him Ricafort because that's what I've been saying it in my head. Has anybody got a pronunciation there, Acadia?
Let me see. Let's check the panel.
Nobody knows, nobody cares.
All right.
Okay, great. Excellent. So it's basically Mr. Ricafort. It's Monsieur Ricafort.
There we go.
He was a self-proclaimed philosopher. He's a young kid, really young apparently, and he was supposedly a distinguished member of a high society group called the Philanthropic Society of Cape Verde of the Green Cape. He's like, I don't know, a member of the Junior League, except for he's a dude and it's the Junior League off the coast of Africa.
But basically, yeah.
It's a bunch of rich guys getting together saying, let's build a school that benefits these two people and then we'll just write everything else off.
Oh, so he could be considered the son-in-law of somebody that's really important that gets to do a bunch of stuff for some reason.
Exactly. And this guy had let me count how many qualifications, because you can't, because it's 0. That's how many qualifications he has as a sailor or ship person or whatever.
Okay, well, he may have had one more than you since he didn't call anybody a ship person.
I like that.
Okay, I get your whole idea.
Yeah.
It's just a ship person.
So he's young and he's like fast talking, like hey, you want to buy some snake oil?
So he's like a used car salesman.
Oh, yes.
So he's got like the early 19th century version of a trench coat with a bunch of watches in it. Like he just opens it up.
Yes, you want to buy a lung?
Yeah, I got it.
He's from good stock. It's another thing that I read. That's an actual quote.
Yeah.
So meaning, I guess he's from, a well-bred, wealthy family. And we know how wealthy families are. They like to, and from these days, they like to, King Charles themselves and marry their cousins or whatever.
Oh,
so,
I now think that
never was a better looking man than King Charles.
Mr. Richford was a tooth salesman. He's like, hey there, buddy. Looks like your teeth in there is looking pretty bad. Look what I got in my pocket. Look, there's 9, 10 really good ones here.
Wait, he was a tooth salesman, but it was those teeth that wind up and go like all over the, just.
I was thinking about wooden teeth, though. So.
Well, I was making him a little ahead of his time there, but
maybe he missed his
they
calling.
could chew their corn really well with those kind of teeth.
He's just one of these guys that's just like, I am so entitled to everything. You know what? Fuck all these people. Look at them. I could sail this ship. How hard can it be?
As far as like where we're at in this part of France's history, think about the fact that they had their revolution, made our revolution possible, and we're like, hey, look at us, we're a democracy. Oh no, it's Napoleon and he's kind of like king, but kind of worse, but kind of better, I don't know. And now they had the king back, so that like they're really getting dicked around.
Yeah,
they're like, didn't we already Madame Defarge these people like 40 years ago?
Right? I know. Some people went under the. Didn't some people lose their heads? Didn't we find out?
I was about to say that's
right,
how we learned about the
guillotine. That's right.
The guillotine.
Yes, the very same. There's another guy who's going to be the governor of Senegal, and his name is Julien Desiree Schmaltz. That doesn't sound French to me, but what do I know?
Sounds
I'm
like he
American,
invented a beer.
Doesn't it?
Drink schmaltz.
Like a really
Schmaltz liquor.
Yeah.
And even though it's pronounced Desiree, it was called Desire Schmaltz liquor.
Schmaltz liquor. Just lay down before you start drinking it.
So he brings his family, and he's in a hurry to get to Senegal, and he's very motivated to colonize. He's just all over it. He's
so
like, yeah,
gross, because they're like, oh no, we better hurry up and bring a bunch of people to populate this country that people already live in.
Yeah, exactly.
God forbid they fucking manage themselves in their own country. Yeah, well, fucking colonizers in general. The next guy is M. Picard, Monsieur Picard. He's a lawyer. He's described as feisty, fiery, and just a real firecracker.
And better than Captain Kirk.
I don't know if there is anybody better than Captain Kirk.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the USS
Enterprise. I'm still laughing. I don't know why. But I love Star Trek so much.
Captain's log.
1816, and Picard brings family of 8 with him. They're all women. All of them are women. It's his wife and their cousin and a couple daughters and somebody's sister-in-law and I don't know. And his 26-year-old daughter, Charlotte, who's a grown woman. She's keeping a diary of this whole thing. That's right. And she's taking notes. She is documenting this whole journey because it is special. I mean, she's picked up her whole life and they're moving to another country. They're going to live there.
Yeah.
For France. So it's a big deal. So these things are being documented.
Yeah.
And there's another guy who's an important figure, and his name is Alexander Courtyard. He's a naval officer who served during Napoleon. So, he's obviously not going to be liked very much by some of the leadership there. He is an engineer and a geographer, and we mentioned the painting a little bit earlier, but later on he collaborates with Theodore Géricault to paint the raft of the Medusa, the masterpiece that's in the Louvre, and that's another story.
So my instincts are telling me that because he served during Napoleon, that he was not very well liked by Captain Douchebag.
Well, you're right.
Yeah.
That is correct. Now, things have things seem like okay so far. It doesn't look like things are going to go great, but it's terrible. There are so many idiot moves. I don't even know how to put it in a way that anybody could possibly understand until this episode is over, that every move that you can make that would be the worst possible move that you could make was made on this ship.
It's like, have you ever watched that show Gold Rush with the fat gold miner with the big long beard?
Yes.
He's like they're the worst. Everything they do is wrong. He's like, I don't think anybody's ever looked for gold in the sky. Maybe we should just start trying to dig it out of clouds. And they're like, I don't think we should do that. No, come on, man. We got to get 1,000 ounces. And the old man father, I've been looking in the car seats all day, no gold.
I've searched every cloud.
We've got these two captain in a ship here because this captain is inept as fuck. Because, again, 20 years he hasn't captained a ship. He hasn't been on a ship. He's never captained a ship. And he's just there because he knows some people.
And he's got his lady and his wine, so...
Oh, man. Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I mean, I'm pretty down with that. I wouldn't really want the responsibility of having to, captain a ship.
This is true.
When you have all that wine and that pretty lady. And you know what? Deschamps did not want that responsibility either.
Nope.
Surprised.
Right?
I'll tell you what I will do. Instead of being up there, I will stay down here with the quote-unquote hospital leadership. The gardener and these 21 hookers.
That's gonna be great. Those are sex workers, Acadia. Get it right.
Oh,
no, the ministry had explicitly told Deschamps, he's like, keep all of those 4 ships together in case anything happens. Power in numbers. This is 1816, man. We got pirates and shit out here.
It could have been a privateer.
You don't even know.
That's right.
What's gonna? Yeah, exactly. So
Captain Jack Sparrow could have been.
That's. God damn. Yeah.
Bootstrap Bill could have just popped right up out of nowhere with the Kraken.
The ministry had also explicitly told Deschamps to avoid the Aguin coast and to go around it. He said to dogleg it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that this means that it's shaped like a dog leg.
Yeah, no.
So when you see the coast,
you go way to, you know it is.
It's going around
It's
going around your elbow to get to your butthole, right, Acadia?
Yeah, kind of. You got to go way out around it.
Yeah.
Don't cut the corner. Go way around it, in the shape of a dog leg.
Right.
I have learned something.
Picture them sailing the ships and Ross going, pivot. That's
what they were supposed to do.
I'm sorry. I can't. Okay, I get it.
The ministry also told them not to stop anywhere along the way. Okay, so there's some stuff that there's your solid. Here's what you're not supposed to do. Here are your instructions. Good luck. Have fun. Now, the passenger area on the Medusas wasn't set up at all. Passengers get on the ship and they're like, where do we sleep? On the floor? On the wood? Is this what's going on? Is there any privacy?
On the poop deck?
I don't know. I think the poop deck's on top.
Yeah, well,
But
I mean, they're looking for somewhere to sleep.
Right. If it's anywhere, please. Yeah, so they end up like basically they're down where the cannons are, and the whole area is like not set up for sleeping at all, and they're like, fuck, I guess we'll sleep on our clothes or whatever, Deshambre sends some personnel down there to kind of help them set things up. So nothing was even set up for the passengers. So they get on board and they're like already pissy and like, oh, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But of course the bougie people, they're good. They're all fine.
I was about to say, so they have like sleeping quarters, basically.
Yeah, well, they have their little captain's area, or
right?
whatever. So, and anybody who wants to come hang out, captain's got his little lounge in his quarters, and you've seen big
Titanic.
ships like that. Like, I was thinking of there's a picture of I think there's a picture of a frigate in the Johnny Depp movies, in the Curse of the Black Pearl. I think
all the ships chasing him are like frigates.
Our frigates.
Yeah, and it's like you see where he's sitting in the captain's quarters. It's a huge inside the ship, and there's you could see outside, and it's just a really large area, and that's where these few people are kind of hanging out at. So, and then right from the get-go, the Medusa almost runs aground in the Bay of Biscay. This is an area I had to look it up. So there's France and Spain's right below it. Northern Spain and southwestern France, there's a little bay, right, that forms that area there. You have to go out of the bay. You really have to try really hard to run aground here, because from day one, they almost ran aground in this bay. They're going to drive into Spain.
like, listen, guys, all we got to do is not hit get out of the way rock, which is like the only thing within 5 miles.
It's a whole country.
Pivot.
So the other ships are on course, and they're just like,
I mean,
see ya. I don't know where you're going, but
you're going on a family vacation, and you got 4 cars there with family members in it, and then this is the one with your crazy Aunt Linda, she's like on the wrong side of the road.
Did they just stop at the rest stop? Where are they?
All of a sudden, you're like, where did Linda go? Nobody knows.
Let's just keep going and hope they catch up. That's basically like what happened here, because they're miles off course at this point, and the Echo's following them like, oh God, well, we'll stay with this fucking crazy crew. Whatever's going on here. Well, the Argus and the Loire are out of sight.
Yeah.
Now, they get around Spain. Finally, they figure out how to maneuver around an entire country.
I would love to know what day on the voyage is this.
I don't know. I had to take a lot out of the notes because I got way too.
For some reason,
this thing was like 14 pages long.
Well, for some reason, the way it's played out in my mind is like you just got on the interstate, basically from
we're 20 minutes into the journey.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like
it's not long. It's like a couple of days.
Allow me to take you to your cabin, and he just drops his bags where he's standing. Here, sleep in this coil of rope.
Well, it is it's not that long, but they're rounding the coast of Spain, and it's gonna take a month to get there. I mean, it's 1816, things take a while, and they're sailing, so you have to have wind, and things have to work out in order to get somewhere, right? So, but
yes, if you're a ship person, you know that in order to sail, you need wind.
Right. I just, I'm here to educate.
I think
Ah,
rule
that's
number
good.
1 is must have wind to move boat.
Said the ship person.
Right. If you didn't know that, now you do.
Oh.
So the thing is that they're off the coast of Spain and there's dolphins right in the wake, and I love dolphins. It's super awesome. And I would be up there with all these people. Everybody crowds the deck. Poop deck, maybe, probably, possibly. It's on one side or the other. I don't know. But they're all like, ooh, and wow, and oh my God, look at all these dolphins. And everybody's just making a huge scene. And towards the back of the ship, this 15-year-old kid who's a sailor, because, you know,
Yeah.
it's back in the day when 8-year-olds could
Steer a ship.
Yeah, why not?
right, who could just go in a deck and, you know, they're deck swappers. And he leans over to see the dolphins and he falls
Oh,
off.
bless his heart.
No, nobody
And
can
then the
hear.
Oh my
dolphins-
gosh.
The dolphins raped him.
To the rape cave, the dolphin rape cave.
I'm imagining that they put on the show for him to see. He falls over. They all have a good laugh, and they just drag him underwater off to their, you know,
Yeah.
because we all
Oh,
know that
God.
dolphins are
Off to their
assholes.
fucking
They
van.
are terrible.
Dolphins are just dicks. So.
Yeah, they're the people of the sea, and we know how people are. They finally realize that all this commotion's going on. They're like, this guy fell overboard, man overboard. And the captain's just like, oh, God, well, he's gone.
Just
Was that like 10 minutes ago? Oh my God, there's no way we're going to find him. And they're like, drop the buoy. They drop this buoy in the water so somebody falls overboard, and they drop this thing in the water. So they kind of mark kind of in the general area where he is. This thing wasn't dropped until like many, many minutes later.
oh my God.
And they thought that it was dropped way too late. The officers who are basically getting told no to own the libs or whatever,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
it said send out a rowboat so that they could at least go back and try to find this kid, because he's out there, he can swim, he's just treading water in the ocean. And he's just like, oh, fine. He doesn't tack back around. He doesn't stop or reverse the ship. He just kind of slows things down. He does things completely different than how you're supposed to do when a man goes overboard.
Well, it wasn't a man. It was a boy.
Right. Wow, what good is he?
Yeah.
He wasn't even a
And they're
full
like,
adult.
oh, no,
That's
he
what he
seems
gets.
fine. That dolphin is giving him some cigarettes. So
Yeah, see, that's what he gets for being entranced by the dolphins.
clumsy idiot.
He's like, fine, I'll send out a lifeboat. But instead of putting 6 people in it, which is what is needed to row this thing, he was like, yeah, I'll send out a lifeboat, but I'm only putting 3 people in there.
Good night.
He literally did this to just be an asshole. Well, I don't want anybody to report that I didn't do
Yeah, but
anything.
Well,
But
exactly.
those other 3
right.
guys holding oars, I need them to have a pretend sword fight on the deck
What
to entertain
the
me.
fuck?
That's my entertainment for the
Yeah.
evening. I can't send more than
Meanwhile,
3.
they put 3 in the lifeboat so it could just row around in a circle.
Because
Shit has gotten real. This is 3 men in a lifeboat. There's no way they can't even get to anywhere close to back where they came from because the waves are so
Oh my
huge. They had to pick
gosh.
them up and put them back in the boat.
that sounds like a good pilot for new shows. 3 men in a lifeboat.
And a baby overboard.
yeah, yeah. You got a season, at least a 6-episode season right there. I like
Netflix just picked us up.
Right. The Echo even came about and tried looking for them, but the buoy was thrown way too late, or the marker, or whatever it was. They said they could barely see the marker in the water. There was no way they were going to see a little head sticking out because the waves were relatively big, as it was, whatever, 10, 12 feet. It's in the middle of the ocean. You don't
Yeah.
even know it's a little head. You can't see anything.
That's
one of my biggest
sad.
fears. It's horribly sad because they just fucking left him treading water in the middle of the goddamn ocean.
And I'm imagining this kid. Go with me on this. He looks like Alfalfa. Alfalfa
Yep.
from Little
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Rascals. He's got a nice little cowlet,
Sure.
up his head there. He's got freckles. He's just the cutest thing you'll ever see, and he's just bobbing around with these bitchin' dolphins, and nobody's good give it a shit
Come on,
about
kid.
it.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Come to
I
the
know.
dark side.
I just feel like The dolphins were just like, is this wake still going? Well, yeah, fuck that kid. We're going to keep going here.
I was about to
yeah.
say they might have just been right along the boat, like, oh, we'll okay, can't stop the show now.
One less human in the world. That sounds good to me.
One less person to entertain here.
So that happened.
Oh.
Another thing that happened is a fire broke out in the hold because a baker, who the captain apparently favored for whatever, some head baker, carelessly started a fire. That's cool because Deschambre, they put the fire out. Everything's cool. Everything's fine. And Deschambre said, hey, man, it's cool. Accidents happen. Could happen to anybody. You just get back to work. It's totally fine. The next day, another fire was started.
Oh, geez.
He ruined the oven.
Oh.
And so now there's no more cooked food for the passengers.
Okay.
And I know I put this in the notes. LOL.
So who is this? Lucille Ball as the baker? Like, was she
Ricky? Yes.
just a Vitamita Vegemin set here? Like,
right. And it's just so funny because the guy, instead, there's 4 bakers on the ship. He could have been like, dude, this is not your thing.
okay, yeah.
Why don't you just take a break and let somebody else handle this? Nope. Nope. The guy was like, dude, I got this.
Yeah, you're not a seasoned baker. And I mean the pun on that one, too.
Put me back in, coach.
I mean, I'd hate to know what his food tasted like.
God.
How did he break the oven? Like fill it with ice? Like how did?
I mean,
I couldn't figure it out. I didn't dig that deep. I don't know if it was ever. I don't know if it's somewhere out there in the words history,
Right.
aka books.
Jesus Christ. We apologize.
books,
Jennifer
for those of you who
Jennifer
don't
Sandwich
know.
had a piano fall on her head on the way to the studio.
Well, with all this
Yeah.
ineptitude, it's kind of rubbing off on me.
So the words
So-
out there, aka books, everyone. If you'd like to read
right.
words.
So floating words on weird wooden
Give me another
sheets,
word
thin
rectangle.
wooden sheets.
So I think you've all figured out that Baby Sandwich was the baker on this boat.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I will set this shit on fire twice. So they end up like stopping at this island called Madeira because the governor wanted to stop. Now they don't have any food, so they're, the governor's wife's like, I want some fruit. And so they're like, we're stopping the ship. Wife wants fruit. We're getting fruit. Deschambre, well, of course, Master Governor, we'll do whatever you want. And so they stop at this island and they get fruits and passengers get off and they stretch their legs. It's like, what the fuck?
Well, stretch
it's
their
the-
legs.
It's like getting off, like getting off on the cruise
Oh,
ship.
man.
I don't know if they all got off or not, but they hung out there for a little while, longer than they probably should have, because when they got back on the ship, Governor Schmaltz was like, oh, what the fuck, man? We are behind.
Oh, no shit. I mean,
So my wife could get some fruits. Hey, we're behind. Who could have done that, huh? I'm looking at you. And so this guy walks up and says, hello, my name is M. Rickford, and I know everything.
everything.
I'm a philanthropist, and I belong to this society, and I'm very entitled.
Now he's John Lovitz. Yeah, sure I do. I'm a philanthropist and I'm married to Morgan Fairchild. Yeah.
He's like, look, man, I can sail this ship. I can sail this ship straight through. We don't have to dogleg shit. We'll just go straight across because it's a ship, man. How hard can it be? I could totally do this. And I'll get us there in like 5 minutes. And Deschambre's like, cool, you're in charge now. Go for it.
Yeah. Giving
What?
Aunt Linda the wheel here.
Right. And the governor's all like, sounds cool with me. As long as we get there, I don't care what you do. And he's just like one of those like middle management bosses who's just like, hey, I just got to get there. I trust you.
Yep.
You just get us there faster. And all right, you two. Pat you on the back and then walk away. And the guy's like, all right, you sure you know about this? Oh, yeah. I've been traveling this area for
Yeah.
at least
At least a week.
I have been all over the part of the ocean we just recently passed.
And I've never had to dogleg a damn thing.
I've never had any trouble doing it. That's because he'd never done it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey guys, I got a solution to your problems. Here's some snake oil for you. Here's a used car.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. See all those other boats that are doing the stupid dog leg? We're going to cut right across. That way we'll get to Senegal first and we'll get all the good rooms like on Big Brother.
We're going to go through the dog's butthole.
That's right.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. This was a lie. And he is like, oh yeah, I know how to do all kinds of ship stuff. That's a lie too. And he's just a self-aggrandizing liar. Another familiar personality. All these three personalities got together and it was the perfect storm.
Jeez.
There's no George Clooney there though.
No good looking person there at all.
Yeah, but there was the Donnie Wahlberg, though, I bet.
He was the one, that middle management person we talked about, who doesn't wear undershirts under his button ups. So when you're in, when you're in the office with him, you're having like a one-on-one. All of a sudden, you kind of peek and you see the chest and tummy hair poking out of those.
No,
He was definitely there.
That's Governor Schmaltz right there. Like I said, with a look like that, you have to have a name to go with it.
That's Schmaltz Slicker all day long right there. He has a nugget ring. He has a ring that looks like a nugget.
When you're laying down in a coil of rope ready to skip the dog leg, relax with a schmaltz.
Buttons not required, right?
Buttons are optional on a schmaltz cruise.
I'm gonna tell you, this seems like it should be a years long journey already, but I know it hasn't been that long at all.
Right? Richefort intentionally disregards the ministry's explicit instructions, all of them, and he heads straight for the Aguan coast.
Well, of course. Why would he listen to just one of the instructions? They just
No,
none of
we're
these are
going
good.
to disregard all of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. We are, and the echoes behind them, like, what? Where you guys?
Again,
what?
yeah.
Where are you
Linda's
going?
gotten off the freeway. We're not going after her.
Yeah, well, they're gonna try to help things out. This coast is extremely notorious for their sandbar and their reef. A lot of ships have broken up on this reef. They've run aground and it's just been disastrous. This area stretched out from the land. Did I say this already? That it stretched out from the land like 100 miles, and and on the land is a desert. And another thing too is that because they weren't really leading the crew, nobody was really giving them any orders. So the crew's kind of fucking off because they're just there to get a paycheck. They're not managing anything. And I think a lot of them saw that it's like, oh, this shit's getting fucked up, but whatever. I mean, I think that it was a lot of like, when you are not in charge, you're not a leader, you're just looking around like somebody will fix it.
Somebody will write this. I just have to sit here and look pretty for a little while, maybe.
That's what I do.
I was going to say, this sounds like Acadia.
Hey, if it ain't broke.
There's a lot of wine on this ship that needs to be drank, and it's not going to drink itself.
Yeah, exactly. Drink some wine if it ain't broke.
This time, nighttime's kind of fallen, and Echo's like, they're just hugging the coast here. They just keep going in and in and in, and we better signal to them. They put up a lantern that signals to the ship to say, come to us, or we need to talk, or whatever the signal is supposed to be. It means something. When a ship signals to you, you're supposed to respond to it. Well, Alexander Courtyard saw this signal, and he gets up and he's like, hey, crew, don't you see the ship out there signaling to us? And the crew's like, fuck, captain's downstairs passed out. What are we supposed to do? It's not our job. He's got to tell us what to do. And he's like, dude, just light a fucking lantern and respond to them. So one of the crew members lights a lantern in response, but it like literally went out after 2 minutes. And they talked about waking up the captain, but everybody agreed captain's not going to wake up. And if he does, he's basically going to say, fuck you, keep going. And so they just didn't bother relighting the response lantern again. And Courtyard's just walking around pulling his hair out. Like, he's just like, what the fuck? You know, and he's like, what? Does anybody realize that the situation is really bad? So the Echo's just like, well, all right, they're not going to answer. So I guess I'll just hang up. See you later. And they take off. They start going out to sea.
Good for them.
Setting off alone for Senegal. the long, correct way.
Good
Good
for
dog
them.
leg. They're dog legging it. So the next day, our little feisty lawyer, Picard, not Jean-Luc, announces to the ship leadership, he's like, this fucking ship is going to run aground. What the fuck are you doing? And he just gets livid with it. And he takes it upon himself to tell an ensign to go and take soundings, which are where you check the depth, I suppose, I think.
Yeah, you take a rope. There's a rope, and there's a rock every, I think it's 6 feet. That's how they figure out a fathom is 6 feet or 12 feet. I don't remember. What am I?
You're not a
I'm
ship
not following.
person.
Anyway, they
You're not a ship
drop
person.
it down, and then they're like, okay, well, now there's no more rope. Like, this is as far as the rope went, because now the rope is slack, and then you pull it up and count the rocks and whatever like that.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the sounding from my subreddit, which is completely different, and don't be curious. Just don't. Just it's a thing for ship people, not anything else.
You said
Ship.
shit people?
No.
We've
As a
proven
matter of fact, that would have been a glorious reprieve from what it actually was. So
Oh, we're vague casting right now. We shouldn't be
Oh,
vague
my word.
casting. So I'll
Just
leave it in.
my Twitter is @Acadia, and I will tell
Yeah.
you what it is.
Slide into his
Whoa,
BMs.
whoa. Slide right in there.
Not poop stuff.
And there's dog
man.
butthole.
That's where, hey,
No,
that's where we're
just
headed.
kidding.
Straight for the dog butthole with this with this voyage. So
Well, I mean, from my standpoint, seeing how the entire journey up to this point has had the Benny Hill music playing faintly in the background the entire time, I can't imagine that this momentous decision that they've done, that said, we're not going to do what the person that's an actual ship guy said to do, or what those other boats are doing, those dummies. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, it's all smooth sailing from here.
So this was really just a one episode thing. Because
The
nothing's going to happen
end.
next week, right?
That's correct. The soundings continued to be made, by the way, and it was 100 feet, 50 feet, 25 feet.
Stop.
Oh, I'm
Then
going
it
to
was
stop
probably, it was 25, then it probably went back to 50 and 75 and got deeper again.
and then went
Because
back up.
I am convinced the worst thing that ever happened on this ship was the baker who confused dynamite for hot dogs, and that's how he blew up the oven.
Yes.
So with you saying that, then that means they were using hot dogs to try to gauge their surroundings there. But what had really happened is those fucking dolphins had followed them there and were eating the hot dogs. And so
They ate all the hot dogs.
they
and they're
never
like,
knew.
why this?
I just figured out.
The hot dogs never came up. The ocean is
See,
bottomless.
I just figured out what happened with Medusa. They were like, "Oh, we are way clear of land. Those fucking dolphins were back there laughing at them while they were swallowing a big hot dog down their guzzles."
They're guzzled.
Snorting them through their blowholes.
I'm talking about they were just, and then having a cigarette afterwards because they were so glorious.
Come over
for
here,
them.
Oh,
girl, and
my-
get some of this dolphin guzzle. Come here. We don't need the other vowels. E is fine for us.
Well, I have to say, this is a very interesting. I like. I hate to say this, but I like where it's going. And I like where it's been, even though it's a big tragedy and what happens.
Right.
Woo.
If you would like to come back next week and find out what else is going to happen besides the tragic loss of the on-ship oven,
It will be the story of how the French got to Senegal and said, you know what, we're not going to be gross slavers anymore. We're going to turn it into a utopia. And it became the country in Black Panther. And
Oh.
that's how the story ended.
Wakanda
So
forever.
it's all happy. It's all happy. Don't worry about a thing because they have vibranium.
I was just about to say they're unlimited vibranium, and it's just making
unlimited
shields,
vibranium.
It's making shields and all kinds of fun stuff with it.
Yep. There's no bad. And actually, now, you know what? You can root for whatever you want, and there's going to be something good for everybody in the next episode.
The ending image I want to leave y'all with is just think about the hot dogs.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to be the yikes of this episode and say, yikes, that dolphin tried to suck my dick.
Come on. Jesus. I want you guys to stop disrespecting dolphins right now.
No, they're
And we want our audience to come back. There's no dolphin fellatio going on around here, so just cut it out.
It makes complete sense if you think about it, because the closest thing to humans in the ocean are dolphins,
Right.
and they're pieces of shit.
Absolutely. Agree with that.
We did say they're the people of the sea. So.
Okay, well, we want to thank the Bad Band for doing our theme music. Please go visit our Patreon. We don't want to resort to having sex with dolphins in order to continue making this show go. I don't know
if
You're
that.
we
a dolphin.
do-
My Twitter is at Acadia.
I was about to say, if we do, it's Acadia that we will farm out to that job.
Right down that fucking guzzle.
Yep,
Right
yep.
down the guzzle.
We're gonna pimp out Acadia to dolphins. How did we
I don't
get
care.
here? Oh
I don't have
my
a goddamn job.
I
I got nothing going on.
God. Gigi Caffeine, thank you for doing the research. Mel, thank you for doing research too. And thank you for being on the show. And I don't know. What else?
And thank me for remembering what day that I was supposed to record.
Yes, thank you, Acadia, for showing up. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to some more killer karaoke from you. I think that you have found your niche.
I agree. Yes, I agree. You're a true talent.
I want us to have an album.
Well, yeah, I would love to put out an album.
Let's do an album. Let's totally do it. Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right.
All right.
Killer Hits by Acadia.
Yeah, killer karaoke hits.
Well, listen,
There we go.
don't fucking, like, I'm not Mariah Carey and you're not the producer that screwed me over.
we could
let's
role
nip
play.
That right. God damn it. I'll put that up on that site.
We'll just get Sandwich a dolphin suit.
You know what?
We can feel comfortable, Acadia.
All right, you know what?
that-
Just keep rolling it.
We're out. Thank you, everybody. We love you. Bye.
Yes, love y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.